Welcome back. Our panel discussions this morning will further explore our Welcome Week theme of telling our stories. Through our panelists and the stories and perspectives they share, we hope you will see your place in the story of higher education and Columbus University. The first of our two panels feature a variety of new and seasoned members of our faculty and staff. And this morning, they include, starting with Dr. Rania Haddad, an associate professor in the TSIS School of Computer Science, where she also serves as assistant chair. She has been a member of the CSU faculty for 8 years. Next is Dr. Anya Lanis, who is an assistant professor of counselor education and the practicum and internship coordinator in the Department of Teacher Education, Leadership, and Counseling. She has been a member of the university's faculty for 3 years. Javon Johnson, there in the middle, joined the staff of the Center for Experiential Learning and Career Design as its Director of Career Design in February 2021. Dr. Dawn Frazier has been a member of the College of Education and Health Professions faculty for 12 years. She serves as a professor and associate department chair in the Department of Teacher Education, Leadership, and Counseling. Rounding out our group this morning is Alexis Gray, who has worked at Columbus State for nearly 4 years. She currently serves as the Student Leadership and Service Coordinator in Student Life and Development. She is a 2-time graduate of Columbus State and also co-chairs CSU's Black Alumni Council. So thank you all for being with us this morning. Going to start with Alexis. We'll offer you our first question this morning, and our panelists will join in as they wish. Alexis, what do you think is the best kept secret here at Columbus State that we should share with prospective students or maybe even prospective employees?
Yeah, I think one of the best kept secrets about CSU is that, and this may sound cliche, but I think it's an opportunity for you to develop those intentional relationships because we are a university where it's like a home away from home. We're large enough to feel like a university, but then we're also small enough to make everyone feel like they have a place here at CSU. And so I know for myself, matriculating from a student now to a professional staff, I've had the opportunity to get to know people around campus, whether it's custodial services, campus, mail, or logistics, or academic, student affairs. I just think that it's a great opportunity for everyone to be able to build those intentional relationships. And that's something that I've enjoyed. And that's why I'm still here.
Great. Well, thank you, Alexis. Anybody else want to? Yes, Anya.
As a fairly new faculty, I was very pleasantly surprised to be welcomed into faculty at CSU with so many welcome events, various art activities, and certainly getting to know my colleagues, my administrators. That was very pleasant, and I felt like a part of the family here.
Great. We'll stay with that theme, Anya, and the next question here is for you. What do you hope your students remember about their Columbus State experience as they establish themselves in their careers?
Sure. So as a counselor educator, it is really important for me that our students take with them the competencies that we instill in them, which is social justice and advocacy, and help change the world one person at a time. And that's what brought me to counselor education and to CSU, is because being a counselor in the community, I can only help one person at a time, but being a faculty here together with my colleagues, we're able to expand our reach, and we're able to teach our students how to be agents of social change, go out there, help people get better, do better. And that's what I hope that they're going to remember, that CSU has helped them to become as social agents of change.
Wonderful. Anybody else want to jump in there? Yeah, Javon.
Yeah, I also want to piggyback off that, in terms of what we hope. I hope they share their story. A lot of times we talk about creating you here at CSU, and I hope that our students are leveraging those relationships that Alexis talked about, the skills and the knowledge that we encompass and incorporate into our curriculum and into the ethos of this institution, to share it with their networks, to share it with other people. Those relationships are important. Dr. Mark talked about, opening opportunities for opening doors, and those are the things that I hope our students take away is that, you know, they have to go out and network. They have to be vulnerable in that space to share their stories. And our faculty and staff should do the same as well, because our students are interested in learning about their pathways, interested in hearing what successes or what are the failures that they took in their places.
Yeah,
So,
you mentioned creativity, and I want to jump down one chair to Dawn. Dawn, we talk a lot about at Columbus State about being creative to the core and create you. Jovan kind of used that term and referred to it. What does being creative to the core mean to you as a faculty member teaching students? And how does it inspire you in your work on behalf of the university?
Okay, so that was a big breath, like I'm going to say a lot of stuff. I've been thinking about that question. And, you know, I was reading this piece on Vox that was talking about 11 mysteries that we are still trying to get our heads around. And there were 3 that really stood out to me. One, we don't really know what's in our oceans. So we have the sunshine layer, the twilight zone, the midnight zone, the abyss zone. What we're most familiar with is the sunshine zone, but we feel like 90% of all life in the ocean is in the space that we haven't necessarily explored. We don't really know what matter comprises our galaxy. We have a sense that it's dark matter, but we have spent decades trying to actually find dark matter. We don't know what causes Alzheimer's. So we think originally there was like this deficiency in this protein, but when you introduce this protein, it doesn't necessarily correct Alzheimer's. And what I take that to mean is we don't necessarily understand how our brains work. So we have these vast universes that we know, we can talk more about what we don't know than what we do know. And I think what that means is that our work as scholars and as artists is to create these stories that Dr. Markwood is talking about that leads to questions. And these questions lead to exploration of ourselves as part of our humanity, just exploration of these spaces in order to engender and find more answers. And there's a lot of power and responsibility with that exploration. The ability to be change agents is connected to the fact that there is so much that we don't know. And in the process of coming to know, we have a responsibility to each other and to the knowledge base. So creativity is embedded in all of that, in our ability to understand what we don't know, to develop the questions in order to open pathways, to create these stories that help us chart our paths forward, to hold on to what we know lightly, because once we explore more, it's going to transform what we think. Don't even get me started on the fact that we have been identifying UFOs for several decades, like that, just like, and we've just released like all of these files. It like blows my mind, like how much is out there for us to discover. And so that is what we release ourselves to. That is what we release our students to give them the competencies to be able to approach these questions and then to move us that much further. And so creativity is part of that process. Critical thinking is part of that process. Relationships is part of that process. Being a scholar, being in this environment that encourages us to move in those directions is pretty much why I'm here. Like it's very exciting.
Wonderful. We hit physics, health, astronomy, space. Did I miss something in there?
I don't. The philosophy, like there's a lot.
Well, everybody online will get an addition to their transcript today for those college credits. So thank you. Anybody else want to add anything? Yes, Rania.
I just want to add that I see Create You as a promise given by CSU to the students. And that promise is actually that we're going to help the student to be a better self and better citizen by providing all means, starting from knowledge, tools, all levels of work and collaboration, develop their soft skills. So it's kind of a promise that we have to fulfill at all levels, actually starting from counseling to a bursar's office, all actually different offices and services we provide at the university up to the classroom and the research we do with our students.
Wonderful. That's actually a great point. Any others? Alexis, I'm putting you on the spot. I know you work on the student life and student services side. Are there things that you feel like we do in some of those programs that help students to be creative or to be creative to the core?
No, definitely. I love that that Raina said that the promise that we have to keep, right? And I definitely think that even in our space of student affairs, we allow students to be creative, whether that's finding their niche and finding the different programs and initiatives that really speak volumes for them. And I know in my program area, we have iLead as a leadership development program, and it's an opportunity for students to develop themselves in their leadership realm. And so I think it's one of those things where we're very committed in our area of allowing students to be able to just take the programs and run with it. You know, we always say, like, we're your advisors, okay? Like, we're not here to tell you what we can help guide you. And so our biggest thing is just advocating for our students and allowing them to be in a space where they can be creative and being committed to that. And I love that. I'm going to take that back to my office now. I'm going to say we are committed to being creative. So we have to allow our students to continue to be creative.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Rania. I want to come to you with the next question. I know that Dawn was using terms like competencies, perhaps, as something that equips us to do our jobs, or at least equips students to be creative. On the faculty side or the employee side, what are some tools, some competencies or whatnot with which Columbus State equips you that are maybe different from other places that you've taught?
I want to start by saying that I consider teaching and research as two main elements that define my identity as a professor in higher education. So all opportunities and any opportunity that allow me to develop my skills in these areas are actually much appreciated by me. And what I really like about CSU is the fact that on the teaching side, it provides different opportunities that allow for that professional development in the form of workshops, webinars, tutorials. And the nice thing about these opportunities is the fact that sometimes they provide me with those aha moments. So for example, it can be something very easy, like a different way to deliver an activity, for example. And I can tell myself, oh, that can really make a difference. If I deliver the activity this way, that can help my students achieve the learning outcomes in a better way. Or maybe include something like a new pedagogy in my class. One thing I remember, for example, a few semesters ago, writing for learning. And I bet that many of you are aware that this technique is used in many disciplines and areas in education, but it is not very popular in computer science. It's very rarely used in computer science. Our CS students don't really write much. So I actually managed to adopt that technique and apply it in my classes. And I have seen very nice improvement on my student side and very good feedback too. So this is the kind of things I learned from these workshops. So definitely these are great opportunities for professional development. On the research side, which is really my passion, I'm very passionate about research and enjoying doing research work with my students. And I really appreciate the fact that CSU provide us with different kinds of grants, research grants. I want to highlight two in particular today. SRACE, Student Research and Creative Endeavors grants, which actually allow students to practice writing mini grant proposals. And this is awesome. They got to work with faculty and the faculty just guide the process, but the student has to write these proposals themselves. They can apply for research grants, travel grants, research grants for equipment, tools to help them with research projects, travel grants to go to conferences, exhibitions to present or display their artwork. And these are huge opportunities for our students. My favorite one is the interdisciplinary research grants because it got me to know my awesome colleagues in different areas in CSU. I have worked with many of them, different disciplines. We managed to work on these interdisciplinary projects. And the nicest part here, we can recruit students from those disciplines to work with us. And you can imagine how beneficial these opportunities are for our students. They manage to work together. So they learn communication skills, teamwork skills. They work on real world problems. they analyze, create solutions, which is very important, and also present and communicate the results of their work. Huge opportunities. And this is pretty much what I believe higher education is about. Getting those students to practice high impact practices, to really apply them in real world situations and be creative. They can actually think out of the box and create solutions to existing problems. So I believe this is what CSU provides us with, support us as faculty with, and accordingly we can support our students and make them better selves again and better citizens in that sense.
There's a lot of context about the power skills. Dr. Mark Wood was talking about those things that go beyond book knowledge that prepare students for their chosen careers. Anybody, Anya, did you?
Yeah, I just wanted to add from a faculty side, what CSU has offered to me that I haven't experienced at the different institutions is that I got to participate in 2 different types of fellowships, the QEP fellowship, my first year at CSU, and then now writing fellowship during my 3rd year at CSU. And those are very meaningful for 2 reasons. One, it helps me get to know faculty from different disciplines and learn new skills that I never thought I may need and to use in counseling, because it's a very unique discipline and we don't have much, crossover besides the psychology, of course. But it really helps me become more creative with my assignments, the way that I help students to be better problem solvers, which are very important for our students. And, but also helps me learn from, history professors and writing professors and science professors, but also helps me create a community here in Columbus as a faculty, and also helps me to learn what other professors do with the undergraduate students, something that I can maybe bridge to, for our students to work together. So I found that very helpful, and it is great. Wonderful. So I recommend that to everyone.
Great perspective. We'll let Dawn round out the faculty perspective, and then maybe Alexis and Javon have something to add from the student services side.
Well, I wanted to kind of piggyback on what Rania was saying and just add on how impactful I think it is that students are able to apply for things like to research, and then also studying abroad, which is an addition that I'd add. And I think the reason that those things are so beneficial is, as a person who comes from a low-income background, right? When I went to college, I never thought about studying abroad, for example, because we didn't have the resources for me to be able to do that. My family couldn't afford to send me overseas. So the fact that we emphasize those kinds of engagements with our students, and that we make it possible for most of our students or many of our students to be involved with these kinds of activities is really powerful, and opens doors. Like students, you don't really know what you're going to do when you come to college. You think you know, but the whole point of college is exploration. And so the fact that you're able to explore in this way, to go overseas, to do independent research, to work with your professors, they open your mind to what's possible, right? And so CSU is unique in the fact that we not only do that at such a large scale, but because of the nature of our student body, that many of our students are similar to me, people who have come from low-income backgrounds, and CSU is our springboard to the next step. It's very powerful to be engaged in those kinds of things as a student and as a professor, kind of leading people through those experiences.
Well, and I think the context of reminding ourselves that there are students from across the socioeconomic spectrum, across the experience spectrum, even the high school spectrum, from small community high schools to large, some high schools that rival small, community colleges, that we have to make sure that we are as creative in our own delivery as we're asking students to be creative in theirs. Javon or Alexis, anything to add?
I think this is a good question you asked about what that tool is that we that we have. And I think this goes back into that first question about the best kept secret. And I like to emphasize all of our points is that the best tool that we have is the community of folks that work at this institution, the stories that we share, the pathways that we take in, and how we leverage those things to help our students become better citizens, to be better advocates for themselves, and to be really equipped to lead a life of meaning, of purpose, and one of progress. We want our people to be better than where we are today. And so for me, those tools, those relationships that I have, and especially the interdisciplinary, the intersections that happen in this work, because I think me and Alexis are at this point where we see the intersections of academics and service, and we see the intersections of community and institutions. And so we can bridge those gaps to help prepare our students for the journey that they're going to be embarking on life after, and for the journey that they're having here at CSU to enhance that ability to make them better advocates or better citizens in our life, in our community.
Absolutely. Alexis, anything to close out this discussion?
I think they all summed it up pretty well. I'm very speechless. I'm like, yeah, got it.
Well, Jovan, let's stick with you. We've talked a lot about the university experience as a student. You're focused on helping students take all of that and move into a professional career. So when we talk about competencies and support mechanisms and things, what do you, or how do you think Columbus State supports your efforts to educate students in what those opportunities are and prepare them for life beyond college?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, again, some of the things that me and Alexis are doing with our lead in the Federal Work Study Program in collaboration with the Office of Financial Aid, Office of Human Resources, those type of collaborative tools are in place to help our students succeed, because when they're here at this institution, they're gaining these skills out of their classroom, they're gaining these skills out of the volunteering and service things that they're doing. And so my job is to help them articulate those that meaning and that purpose and those skills in a way that our employers and our community members could help see that potential in those students, to help open up those doors for them. And so for me, those sort of techniques, I work closely with our team in the Center for Career Design, and we're sort of the intersection of academics and also the student life. And so we're bringing in these different ideas, we're bringing in these different initiatives to help our students get the life that they're looking for, and basically explore that career pathway in terms of how our community partners see them, how our employer partners see them, and how our, in terms of the larger community here in the state of Georgia, how they can see themselves living a life after CSU. And so, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, I think listening to what you were saying, so I'm developing this philosophy about how we develop, right? And that development is facilitated by contact with institutions. And they can be good institutions or bad institutions. So you can go into the military, you can go into higher ed, you can go into prison. All of these things transform you as a human being. They help you understand who you are as what's out there for you. Prison sounds really negative, and it's like you're searching. There's this foundational search for who we are and what we're meant to be. And if we have people around us who help us in that search, we can engender lives that are really positive experiences that give to ourselves, that give to our communities. If we don't have those kinds of things around us, then we're led down paths that can be really dark and negative, with the same question in mind, who am I? Why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing, right? And so I think the reason that it's really important for the work that we do is we want students to be and to maintain contact with positive institutions that talk about this is what's open to you, this is what's possible to you, for you. And the more that we communicate with each other about like at the center, the students asking these questions, what am I supposed to be doing? And it's not like that question stops when you graduate with an undergraduate degree, right? It didn't stop for me. I didn't really start digging into that question until I graduated with my bachelor's. Like, okay, I got a degree in psychology. What are you supposed to do with that? Right. So I spent 7 years trying out different things through higher ed and community college to figure out what next steps were. And then once I got that down, I'm back in higher ed, facilitating or engaging in next steps of my search, right? And it's not like it's ended because I've graduated with my doctorate. I'm still asking myself the question, what am I here for? What matters to me, right? I have better answers, but it's still facilitated by being involved with higher ed, by working with young people and not so young people who are asking themselves the question. It always folds back on me and my own answers, right? So just this notion that you have all of these entities that are involved asking students to ask themselves, what are you here for? What do you want to do next? How are you going to make a difference? Is I think the foundational story. It's an existential question. What am I supposed to be doing? And we answer those questions in church. We answer those questions in school. We answer those questions with our family and in our communities. And it's good to be a part of an institution that's aimed at that kind of exploration.
Great. Alexis?
Yeah, I was going to add as well, as we are helping students kind of cultivate who they are while they're in college, I think another great aspect of what we do here at CSU is being able to create affinity groups even post graduation, right? So our alumni association and how we built different affinity groups such as the Black Alumni Council or Young Alumni Council, excuse me, of helping students understand, like, stay connected, right? These relationships that you've built all these years while being in college, stay connected to the to everyone that you've connected with over the years, and understand that you can come back. This is your home away from home. You're an alum now, so stay connected. And I think that's one of the biggest messages that I would push to students, and also to faculty and staff, of helping students understand that they need to stay connected once they graduate.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great advantage for us because we're really kind of a 2.5, 3 generation deep institution with regard to our alumni. I mean, the folks who came through as some of the first classes of Columbus College graduates, are still, still around, still available to us to build off their stories. So, we'll close with this question. You've been assigned to a committee to help us develop a new billboard campaign. So 5 or 6 words tops. Why Columbus State? What's our story that we need to squeeze on that billboard? Anybody have something jump out at you? Maybe a word, maybe a couple of words. What tells the Columbus State story in a couple of words? Anya?
I'll start on this one. I believe that Columbus State University have an excellent group of faculty members. They are well equipped with knowledge and passion towards teaching and towards helping the students to be better students and help and support them at different levels. I want to mention advising in particular here because students rely on advising in order to actually hold these conversations and find out more about themselves. I think it is a big thing to make sure that you're helping the student to find out what Dawn just mentioned, who they are, what are they trying to achieve, help them to achieve what they want to achieve, and even more, let them believe that they are capable, and they are. They just need to maybe some guidance, to reach what they want to achieve. I believe it's also important for us to let the students know about their strengths and their weaknesses and work on their weaknesses and turn them to also strengths. So I believe faculty is the key to Columbus State University's success.
Great. People, I mean, it's a huge asset.
Faculty and staff, absolutely.
Anya?
If it would be just a brief phrase, I would say that here at Columbus State University, we teach students how to open doors for themselves and their families, break glass ceilings, and be agents of change.
I like that. Anyone on the far end of the line have something creative to the core to share?
I would add catalyst.
Okay.
And search.
Wonderful.
Possibility. 3 words.
Well, we've hit on explore a
Mhm.
lot as well. So I like being able to explore your possibilities as well.
I probably would say be you and come to CSU and create your own experience.
Well, you have a very unique perspective because you've actually been on one of our billboards. So
Reminded me, Mike.
there you go. Jovan, any other inspiring words of wisdom as we close out today?
Yeah, it seems like I'm always thinking about what students do next, and I'm always thinking about what I would do next. So the billboard would be future ready, future forward, future you.
Wonderful. Well, Rania, Anya, Jovan, Dawn, and Alexis, thank you so much for, first of all, agreeing to participate with nothing more than an email invitation last month. And thank you for bringing your thoughts and perspectives. This has been great. And we are taking copious notes on our team because this will certainly help us in telling the story of Columbus State University. So thank you all. We'll break from this panel, come back to our student panel in just a moment after these commercial messages.